Yo, what is going on, team? This is Art, and today I'm going to be going over how I look at my potential plays that I'll be taking in the stock market and how I utilize certain websites to find options plays to take in the future. So let's get into it. That said, I am going to be looking at Barchart and Marketwatch.com. These are both websites that I regularly use to find plays in the stock market. Let me just show you guys my window. So firstly, I'll just start off with Marketwatch, mainly because most people know about this thing. So Marketwatch is a website that, well, is a watch on the market. So overall, it just gives you very nice, easy to read headlines. It's a very compact website. And over here, you're able to see, latest news. And that's something that I believe is quite important. And also you can just search up in particular for certain names. So I'm personally in 500 shares of QuantumScape rather. And so notice right here we have the information about QuantumScape. You're able to pull up a chart. Say I want a 6-month chart, and it'll give me the overall price action. On top of that, it'll give you a profile, overview, financials, historical quotes, and then options, along with all recent news having to deal with this stock in particular. So say here's another analysis saying it's time to buy. It's just something to consider when it comes to looking at a stock. Overall, I think MarketWatch is a very strong website to have, and I believe they can also send you emails depending on certain stocks that you want to be watching. And overall, just a very easy way to keep track of news and overall how the market's been acting. The other website that I like to use is called Barchart.com. It's completely free. They do have a premier version, but personally, I don't really use it. The main reasons why I use Barchart is for their options tab right here. We have a section called Market Pulse, and this is a section where you can see the overall unusual options activity and just how people are playing the market for the day. So in particular, I like to use this most active options, and I like to use the unusual options volume and unusual options activity that's showing up right here. So let's first get into that. Unusual options activity is going to show you, you can also send an email for that, by the way. It's going to show you just weird stocks, and depending on when it was entered, it'll show up at the top. But it'll show you the weirdest options activity, so things that are being played that are kind of strange, or maybe there was a lot of buys, or say open interest is very high, or IV is very high. Just something to look at when it comes to taking a trade. So for example, you can see that there was Funko or Boeing. So notice right here we had Boeing puts near close. So 260 strike, 319 P. So that's just like a weird order. And that's kind of like, you see these kind of tickers showing up and it's like, well, what's up with them? So then I end up going back onto my Thinkorswim, and what I'll do is look up that name. So Boeing. Boeing made an insane rip to the upside, but it is heavily overbought. So my guess would be that these kinds of positions that are being taken are trying to capitalize on the reset of the RSI back down into a neutral or bullish, because it is up about 7% on the day. So overall, that would be how I would read something like that, and that's how I would consider taking a position on that. That said, there's also the other sections of this website. So we have the option, actually, and by the way, you're also able to look at the ETFs. So this is like your SPY, QQQ, your ARK. So notice near close we had, or actually the last trade before close with an unusual options activity was a April 1st 412.5 strike SPY call. So whoever took this position is very positive that we'll see the market heading up going into these next coming weeks. And then it shows you the midpoint, the ask, and overall how much the position is going to cost you, and the overall volume and open interest. So that said, that is just another tool you can use here. That is the unusual options activity, and it does show you ETFs and stocks. Next is the most active options tab. And this is just going to show you the options that are being most traded, or at least for the company. So notice right here, General Electric had the most of the options play being played today, along with Apple and Boeing, and then GME and Tesla. So these are all plays that have been played out the majority of today. And notice right here, it'll show you the put and call ratio. So you can see that the majority of General Electric positions were in calls. Notice Apple was majority calls, Boeing was majority calls, and GME was like about half and half. So this is something that you would do kind of just to gauge market interest and how people are looking at the market for the day. Notice right here it says 312, so these are all as of today. And it's just something to consider when it comes to taking a trade. You know, don't base everything off of that, obviously. However, it does give you a very nice idea of how people are gauging a particular stock. There's also the, where is it? Change in open interest. So this tab right here will show you the open interest and how it's been changing along with the actual strike and contract choice. So notice right here it says we have an open interest increase of 23,000 for both GE and CX on the call, on the 416.8 strike call. And so when I go to actually look at it on Thinkorswim, let me pull up CX right here for trade, 416 strike right here. We have an open interest of 33,610 and our volume is 21,960. Now notice the volume for the puts, it's completely non-existent. So there's a lot of people buying calls for this stock, but not a lot of people buying put options. So when you actually go to look at the stock itself, you can kind of see that it's starting to start trending upward. And we have a MACD cross kind of happening soon. We have a neutral RSI, and that's just how I would look at this at a glance. When you look at it maybe on a longer time frame, it may have a better setup, but it is just something to consider. We have a crossover that happened a little bit in the past. It tried to cross back down, but it failed. So it's still heading upwards, and it's very bullish on RSI in terms of a daily chart. That's just something how I would look at it. This is more of a swing type play when it comes to something like this. So that said, I will also be pulling up a few more charts here for the website. So let me pull that up here. We also have a decrease in open interest. So this will be, you know, as things start going out of the money or as news kind of starts to fall for a stock, we'll see the open interest kind of fall as people are no longer interested in playing that stock. So say it was GameStop or say AMC is starting to lose volume and open interest because people are no longer wanting to play that as they do not see it as lucrative as it was previously. On top of that, the options tab also shows you the, again, most active options, and then the unusual options volume will show you just the strange increase for certain stocks, and it'll show you the put and call. So notice right here, this Lending Corp or Lending Club Corp has an increase in volume of 941%. And then right here it shows the actual change itself. But notice right here, our calls are 33,000 and our puts are 959. So you can see the huge disparity between the two, and it's just something to look at when it comes to trading different options. So when I actually go to see it, say I wanted to take a trade on something that I'm not very familiar with, I would consult the website and actually look at, say, the most unusual options volume. So in this case, IART, Integra Life Sciences. I'll go back to my TOS and I'll look up IART. And as of right now, when you go to look at the website, it shows that the contracts are majority showing up as puts, but it has a very large increase in volume for them. So the options volume is citing majority puts, and so there's 2 puts for every 1 call. So that would be something that I would look at when it comes to looking at TOS, just to see what the overall setup is. So notice right here, when it comes to taking this trade right here, if I were to look at it, we are rejecting the 200-day moving average, and we had a reversal to the downside. So what I would potentially take this as is, if we don't round out this MACD right here at the bottom, notice right here, I would be taking a short position back below this kind of bottom at 67. And say I pull up a longer term time frame, this is a 4-hour chart. The overall trend is kind of starting to head down as we're seeing a little bit of resistance from just this little channel that we've got. So I would want to take this position even lower if it can't get back above this 50 SMA. So that's just kind of how I would read it and how I find these kinds of plays. On top of that, here's a daily chart. And in the daily chart, we crossed a while back, and we've just been kind of slowly heading down since then. So it is just something to consider when it comes to taking these kinds of trades. It's just a tool to use to find things that maybe you weren't so familiar with, because I know I've never traded IART or say Ulta or General Electric aren't things that I'm regularly looking at. And so you would add something like this to your watch list to, you know, keep an eye on for the next couple of days. So you can kind of keep an eye and track on how well it's doing or how poorly it's doing in comparison to the market, and how people are citing on it when it comes to puts versus calls. It's just a very strong website that I would recommend checking out. It's completely free, and overall it does give you just really nice, you know, a lot of free information that's very strong to use. So, you know, it'll even give you percentage change for stocks and stuff. It's not just options, but I like using it personally for options. And right here, it'll show you different stocks that are performing well. So you can see right here, NLSP has changed, you know, 100% today. And then it'll show you the volume and everything. So overall, it's just a nice website to use. It's a good tool, and it'll just give you a nice little market recap map to give you a general idea of how the market is faring for the day. That said, I will be concluding this video here. I appreciate you guys all for watching once again. The information I hope that I'm giving you guys is something that you can use, because I feel like there's a lot of information that is kind of obscure and not very easily found. I'm just showing you guys what I do personally, because I find that these different strategies work very well and have led to my personal success in the stock market. So that said, I will be concluding the video here. I will be uploading again tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Peace.